Ain't no dead space. I'm just sitting here looking at something. Hold on. All right. This is Through the Fire podcast. We are rebuilding over here from the ground up. We're here every Monday. And don't forget to check out our Relentless series. We did our first Relentless series, our first Relentless spotlight last week with Obsidian. I am working on a huge one for July and for August, especially August. August is, if everything works out well, folks say they will do something, then when you start putting this stuff into motion, and then all of a sudden they go silent. Yeah, so we shall see. So I'm really, really trying very hard for when we do the relentless spotlights, that we give you some really good, some good people to spotlight, some good information, some good stories, and some good information that we can learn from with the relentless spotlight. So the one in August, I'm extremely looking forward to, if that turns into fruition, and also the one next month, and I hope that turns into fruition as well. These people have said okay, but those of you who've done business with me know I'm pretty diligent about, the follow up and nailing things down, getting set up, and so we shall see. Okay, and hopefully within the next week or 2 weeks, I can make some announcements. I think you're gonna really like these if they both show up, if they both follow through, and the one thing that I've learned about Black YouTube is, if you're not popular, if you're not the it guy or the it girl, it's like fuck you. So I've learned that. So I'm not the it guy. So I will probably, more likely, it's probably a 0.0001% chance I will ever be the it guy, because I don't do the stuff that the it guys does. So I don't do, and I'm not as talented and as captivating as the goddamn it guy. So whoever the it guy is. So I've never been never won any popularity contests, and probably never will. So, but we'll see. That doesn't stop me from doing what I need to do for me to keep pushing and try to provide something to grow what I need to grow. I do that. I push through. I'm very relentless. So even if they don't show, I do got some fallbacks, but I would, obviously would prefer my first options. Everybody prefer their first options. All right, let's get down to business, boy. We got some more Tiffany Henyard stuff to get to. Let me start off, and I'm going to get to it a little bit later. Let me start off by thanking Messy Michonne Live for tonight's stream, because part of some of the work that she's done, we're going to be covering here, and I really appreciate her doing the legwork that made my job a lot easier. So, Messy Michonne, I really appreciate what the work that you put in, and which we're going to spotlight in a little bit. Yes, you are, Messy Michonne. If y'all didn't hear what Messy Michonne said in the background, please take another listen. I'm a black woman. Yep, that's Messy Michonne. Let y'all know. She just needs y'all to know that she's a black woman, okay? And we got a good one today about...
Hey guys, this is Super Mayor Tiffany A. Henyard, the People's Mayor.
Okay, so we're going to really get into it today about Tiffany A. Henyard and the Super Mayor. And just remember now, Tiffany says she is the dream.
I understand why we can't help each other, why we can't put our heads together and help one another, why we can't band together at this time, at this moment. This is going to be Black History Month, right? Y'all all say Martin Luther King had a dream, but guess what? I am the dream. So now I need you guys to stand with me and help me grow our dream. That's what I need.
Don't forget, y'all, clap, stand with her, while she finesses her community. Go ahead and do that, because she is the dream. Don't forget that. Tiffany Henyard is the dream, y'all. So we cannot not forget that. All right, let's get down to business, because I do need to get up out of here. I don't want to be up here all night, because, I'm not as entertaining as somebody who can sit up here and have a a stream fest for 6 or 7 hours screaming at people and fight. I can't do that. I get the information, get in, get out, and hopefully we can have a little fun along the way. So we'll see. All right, let's get down to it. There are many people who believe that voting and understanding the political structure is quite pointless. That mindset can have, far-reaching consequences on a personal level and within our broader community. To illustrate this, I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened, the aftermath of the 2016 presidential election. And if you guys don't remember who was elected president in 2016, that will be Donald J. Trump. And so there was a huge there was shock and awe across the country because people couldn't believe. Well, a lot of people couldn't believe that Donald Trump could have gotten elected based on how he ran his presidential campaign and based on his views and the things that he said and the things that he was doing, things that came out about him. They just couldn't believe that the country had the audacity to go ahead and elect this guy. And believe it or not, a lot of reasons why Donald Trump was elected is because so many people in key swing states just decided to stay home. And so when you don't, those of you that talks about the fact that voting is pointless, it don't matter if we vote, it don't matter. I always tell you this right now: if voting does not matter, if it does not count, if you are of the mindset, whoever this they is, pick our candidates for us anyway, then why do you think there are factions within both of these political parties that we got that are constantly trying to figure out ways to restrict, limit, and make it difficult for you to vote? So why do you think they go after your voting? They go after your voting more, trying to restrict and limit who can vote, when can vote, and the ease of the voting. They do that more than anything else in this country. So if that shit didn't matter, if it didn't matter, why in the hell are they voting? Why in the hell are they fighting so hard to limit, restrict, or give you or remove access to voting if it didn't matter? So I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind, okay? But attitudes toward voting and political engagement, many people feel that their vote does not make a difference, or that the political system is too corrupt or complicated to engage with meaningfully. And I can understand to a degree the whole part of it being extremely complicated. So because because some systems, depending on where you are, what are you voting for, your city, your state, the mechanisms in play, it can be very convoluted. I understand that to a degree, but so this sense, so a lot of people have a large sense of futility when it comes to thinking about or talking about the vote. Okay, so I want to play something for you real quick, so you guys to kind of illustrate my point, especially when it comes to Black people. We got this bad. We are one of the least engaged voting. Well, I think the Asian community is. I think they hardly vote, but of the major group populations, we are the least engaged in the voting. Hold on a second.
Knight Foundation study of some 12,000 so-called chronic non-voters shows the group tilts only slightly toward Democrats, but includes more women and minorities, is younger, and has lower income.
A study of 12,000 chronic non-voters. The chronic non-voters, people who don't vote regularly or at all, they 31% lean Democrat. The majority of those chronic non are considered to be women and quote unquote minorities. They tend to be younger, and then also there are people who are basically are financially challenged in a lot of different ways.
Income levels than active voters.
Do you plan on voting in November?
Not necessarily. I don't see the direct effect that it has on the community that I live in.
He says he doesn't see the direct effect that it has on the community he lives in, but but as we stated in our last live stream talking about Tiffany Henyard, about the reason why she's able to finesse the Thornton Township and the village of Dalton is because you got people like here who don't understand how it affects them directly. Like really, I keep, we always focus on the presidential election, but I keep telling you, the officials right in your area, your local judges, your sheriff, your alderman, your trustees, your mayor, those bastards are the ones who actually can reach out and touch you directly. They direct resources directly to you or away from you. And you want to sit there and talk about, I don't understand how it impacts my community. Well, you don't understand how, you don't see how it impacts your community because your punk ass ain't involved. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Mujahid Green says he participates in presidential races to please his mother and grandparents who fought for his right.
So, boy, shit, this doesn't let make black men look good. You're a grown man, and your mammy and your grandmammy gotta drag you out to vote. And I guarantee you vote how they tell you to vote, because like I stated before, black people were very, very comfortable. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. We are very, very, very comfortable in being hold on a second. I got a highlighter. I want to get my statement pretty clear and concise. And I got it let me see. Yeah. Every time I think I save something, I don't save something. That's just me getting old, I think. But this is why I call us, blacks, when we're talking about being involved in our day-to-day life in our communities, and the reason why people can like a Tiffany Henyard can come in and do what she wants to do. Not just even Tiffany Henyard, anybody can come in and do whatever they wanted to our community without any repercussions, because we are uninformed, we are lazy, uninformed, and checked out. Lazy, uninformed, and checked out. This fella in the video, his mammy and his grandmammy got to drag him out to vote, and he's gonna vote the way that they tell him to vote because he's lazy, uninformed, and checked out. And then he's sitting here talking about, well, I don't see how it impacts my community. No, how can you see how it involves or impacts your community when your butt is when you are lazy, uninformed, and checked out. Uninformed, you're lazy first, then you're uninformed, and then you're checked out. That's what you are. That's how come you don't know. You don't know because you don't want to know. And so I have no sympathy for people who don't, especially with the adventation of all of the technology we got and the access to resources they got. I mean, it's information. The one thing that we don't lack anymore is access to information. We have more information than a little bit if we want to know. But most of us colors don't want to know a damn thing. But we want to sit up and complain and bitch about it, and then especially when something goes horribly wrong, you're sitting around acting all shocked. Well, let me I used to when I was married, my wife used to get upset with me because I would listen to Fox News all the time, and she was like, "Why are you listening to that garbage on Fox News?" And I go, "Well, First of all, I like to listen to people that I don't agree with, and I said, second of all, the Tea Party at the time was the Tea Party and the Republicans. Them motherfuckers are gangster. They tell you out in the open what they think about you, what they want to do to you, and what they are planning. They openly plan what they want to do to you out in the open. Why in the world would you not tune in when they're broadcasting it in prime time about what exactly how they feel about you, what they think about you, and what they want to do to you? They don't just tell you what they want to do. They will actually sit there and they will lay out their plan for you, a step-by-step blueprint plan of what they plan to do to you and how they're going to go about doing it. They do not hide it. So that's why I watched other outlets that with people that I don't necessarily align with, because these motherfuckers ain't afraid. I gotta stop cussing. But these people they're not afraid to tell you what they think, what they're gonna do, and how they're gonna do it. They don't care, because they know that you Negroes are lazy, uninformed, and checked out. They know that. Mm-hmm.
But he usually skips midterm years.
So my sister gave me the sign to promote.
His sister Tynetta recently helped lead a car parade through Milwaukee to register and activate voters.
It's harder now for me to convince people that it's important to vote when they see the decline in our community.
It's definitely easy to vote, you know. It's just when you
this quasi Jamaican color wearing Negro talking about, well, yeah, it's easy to vote. It's just you're lazy, uninformed, and checked out. You're pathetic. You're pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. This man is an embarrassment to all my sensibilities.
check that box, man, it's just you really walk away feeling like nothing is going to change.
You walk away feeling like ain't nothing gonna change. Ain't nothing gonna change. Who cares what you feel like, brother? You got to get your butt. And you don't know what's gonna happen when you get your ass in the fight, but you standing on the sidelines pretending like you don't see nothing. Yeah, and that's you know, and that's one of the problems. And that's one of the problems. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's one of the problems in Dalton. Not just Dalton, but even the Thornton Township. These jokers they're just checked out. They're lazy and woefully uninformed, and now they got this baby mama running around here terrorizing the town, and they're sitting there trying to figure out like what the hell happened and how it don't know how to happen. They don't even know how to get her out. They don't know how to get her out. That's what's so crazy about it. But I'm going to spend some time today or tonight talking about how to get her out, specifically how to get her out. I understand the frustrations, you know, about the system, and you feeling like it's corrupt. And let me steal a line from Donald Trump, that is rigged. You know, you become disillusioned with politicians. I get it. Unfortunately, you put your faith in people. People suck. You know, there's a belief that politicians don't represent the interest of the average person. That's because you motherfuckers elect or fail to elect people who do. I don't know what I've said this privately. I don't know where or when in this country that we made the decision that just because somebody's rich, that they know what's best for us. Rich people get elected to serve their own interest, not yours. So for anyone who has a belief that politicians don't represent your best interest, they don't, because you're not electing people who have your best interest. Eventually I'm going to get into the history of our elected, you know, who are supposed to be our elected officials. Our elected officials are supposed to be the people who live around us, who represent us, not these wealthy fuckers that live in ivory towers and we think because they got some money, which most of it has been stolen during ill-gotten gains and passed down through thievery. Somehow we think because they're rich that they fucking know better. They know they got our best interest. They do not. They got their best interest in mind. I mean, if you guys want to go back to the Trump tax credit. That shit's crazy. The Trump tax credit was so lopsided. We're paying for it now, and everybody blaming Joe Biden for it. When that's the one damn thing that Joe Biden had nothing to do with. Your taxes are through the roof because of what Trump did. But no, because Joe Biden's the president now, you forgot that that the Republicans and Donald Trump passed one of the most lopsided tax bills in American history that favors the rich. Basically, 7 families got like damn near 90% of the tax breaks in the country. That is insane. There's also like this perception of being ineffective. The feeling that that your singular vote can't change the outcome of an election. The 2016 presidential election should have taught your ass that big time, because these swing states, Donald Trump's won some of these swing states like Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania only by a couple hundred votes in some places. What are you talking about? That goes back to me talking about that you're lazy, uninformed, and checked out. It's your fault. Stop. It's your fault because y'all won't do nothing. There's over 350 million people in this country, and only about 180 of them actually vote, which is crazy. And it's talking about the political system is often seen is seen like it's too complex, to navigate or for people to understand. That's some bull crap. You understand what you want to understand. The things that you want to learn, you go learn. Don't matter how complex it is. If you want to learn something, you go learn it. A lot of y'all have learned how to finesse the damn government in order to get as much child support, food stamps, and Section 8 as you can. Now, how many people are out here, or how many out here getting food stamps and selling them when you ain't supposed to do that? You found out how to get away with that shit. When you want to know something, you find a way to learn it. In Black folk, we learn the most useless crap on the planet. But we want to talk about how difficult something is to understand. Shit's not understand. They got government for dummies. They got a book. Oh, you got to be able to read when the average reading level is 4th grade within the Black community right now. It's crazy. In the 2016, hold on a second. Oh boy. Hold on a second. Nothing but technical issues. The United States saw one of the lowest voter turnouts in recent memory. Meaning nearly half of the people that were eligible to vote in the 2016 presidential election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, they didn't vote. The lower turnout had a significant repercussions on that election. Donald Trump was elected because of low voter turnout. I don't understand how you guys don't understand that. Believe it or not, if you want to look at it from a party perspective, like a party perspective, like Democrats do well with higher voter turnout. Republicans do well with lower voter turnout. Why do you think the Republican Party is always harping on your fucking vote? Why are they always trying to lie, talking about people are voting illegally? Why you think Republicans are always sponsoring bills to limit, curb, curtail, and to take away votes? Why do you think the Republican Party is out here trying to get rid of voting centers? Why do you think the Republican Party is trying to get rid of mail-in ballot voting that's been going on since the beginning of the damn country? Why do you think they're trying to get rid of this shit? Because they do well when people don't show up to vote, but your vote don't count. Your one vote don't count. But they're doing everything in their goddamn power to get rid of your damn vote. You know, some said like the results of the 2016 presidential election was highly controversial and led to and well, we were all witnessed it. It was kind of crazy. It led to like dissatisfaction and outrage, not just in the United States, but across the country. People went berserk because Donald Trump won the Electoral College but lost the popular vote. And a lot of people couldn't understand how he's president and didn't win the popular vote. George W. Bush lost the popular vote the first time he ran and became president. You don't have to win. Our presidents are elected through the Electoral College process, not through the popular vote system. But see, y'all have to take 8th grade government to understand how we got our electoral system. But a lot of you fuckers were doing other shit instead of learning and paying attention. And then the 2 of you who actually went on to college didn't even take no government classes in college, or they pay attention for you to learn this as well, which is easy to go out and research. All you got to do is YouTube it. YouTube United States election presidential election process. It'll explain it to you. They even got some with little cartoons on it for you very slow people who are out here on the spectrum some goddamn where. You know, that result, you know, the disenfranchisement of that, the way people felt, that crap reverberated across the globe. Protest across the country came just like everywhere. It's like for 2 or 3 weeks straight, there was nothing but it got to the point where people were a little bit worried about if he was going to be able to be sworn in, because there was such a backlash against his election. But let me tell you something. All of those, I'm gonna play this in a minute. I'm gonna tell you what I think in a minute. And then, you know, most of the outrage were from women's movements across the country, you know. And but you know what I believe low key a lot of those women actually voted for him, and they were just out there because it seemed like fun to do. But that's just me. But let's take a look at some of those protests, okay?
People around the world come together in an astonishing display of global solidarity. The flashes of pink, a defiant symbol of unity.
Pussy
Some
hats.
600 marches taking place on this day. The posters with the same message in Rome, as in Sydney or London.
We are here to march to protest the hate and the division that Donald Trump puts forward as politics. We are here to march against the rising xenophobia in this country too. We are here to march against the normalization of racism and misogyny and sexism.
It started as a Women's Day of protest, but morphed into something even greater, drawing in all sexes and races from all walks of life, giving voice to a deep sense of discontent and fear of what a Trump presidency means not just to the US, but to the world. The focus of all this concern attended a service at the National Cathedral in Washington, content and secure in the often expressed conviction that he's the legitimate choice of the US electorate, and not deserving of the waves of sometimes vitriolic criticism that swelled throughout his campaign, election, and now assumption of office. But hundreds of thousands in the city of Donald Trump's inauguration disagree, including celebrities who chose not to attend Friday's ceremony.
The Constitution does not begin with I, the President. It begins with we, the people.
Gloria Steinem. If you guys don't know who she is, that's the, isn't that, if I'm not mistaken, isn't she the Planned Parenthood chick that black women worship? I think that's her, ain't it? Am I right? Somebody let me know if I'm wrong on that one. I think that's who that is.
So don't try to divide us.
as well as those who would describe themselves as ordinary folk, swayed not by political conviction, but by human concern.
We're really coming to Washington to say, listen, not on our watch. It won't happen. We won't roll back our rights. You will not oppress us, and we will stand up.
The initial push to protest was what was perceived as Donald Trump's demeaning and disrespectful treatment of women. But these marches have grown into so much more. They're giving a united voice to those who feel discriminated against, ignored, or excluded by those wielding political and economic power. The feeling shared in other U.S. cities, like Chicago, and thousands more in the streets of Boston and across the continent.
How can you guys not forget this? It was kind of like, for a couple weeks, it was like the world stood still because Satan himself got elected president of the United States. If you got caught up in it, it almost felt like it was like we just exalted the Antichrist and we were at the end of the world. That's how I felt at the time. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but there was this big sense of doom that we were all screwed, that it was over, that life as we know it was about to come to an abrupt end. That's how it was, that kind of feeling around that time amongst people. I've never seen this country this afraid. I think maybe the last time this country was this afraid, I don't even think it was this afraid during the 9/11 attacks. I think the last time I think there was a feeling like this was during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
In Los Angeles, while in Washington the numbers were so great that organizers had to turn what was to be a march into a rally, and whether or not the voices are heard, no one can dispute that they've been raised. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
And despite all of that, believe it or not, the country is still standing. Still standing. So, let me see. So let me tell you something. So when people don't vote, when you choose not to vote, you forfeit your opportunity to influence policies, and you honestly forfeit the right to complain. So when it comes to like healthcare, education, taxes, and stuff like that, you don't get a say. Your opportunity was to say was when you had an opportunity to vote for someone who you felt aligned with your interest. And when you don't participate, you make the democratic process of voting, you diminish that. You actually lay the foundation and the groundwork for people to take that away from us when you don't use it. It's like reward points. When you don't use your reward points, at a lot of places they'll confiscate them from you. Hell, on your job, sometimes if you don't use your PTO or your time off, whatever, your vacation time, if you don't use your vacation time within a certain amount of time, they'll confiscate a bunch of that away from you. You don't use it, you lose it. And then when you don't vote, and they feel like you don't vote, the people that are elected, they have no obligation. They don't feel any sense of obligation to do anything for you, to listen to you, to consider anything. Why would they? You don't come up, you don't show up for them. Why would they give a damn about doing your work? You gotta force these people to do what's in your best interest. And the way you do that is by voting. If you don't want to vote, then you get what happened with Tiffany Henyard in Thornton Township and Dalton, the village of Dalton. The 2016 election of Donald Trump should be burned in our minds about what happens when you don't vote. For those of you who were not wanting to see him elected, what that meant to you, your positioning, what you thought. Look, the impact, the tax cut that he gave to the top 1%. My God, that was insane. Of course, he gave them what was it like? Almost $2 trillion in tax cuts to like 7 families or something like that. He was serving his own interest. Donald Trump's a billionaire. He was in there serving the interest of his peers. You out here making $15 an hour, you a CNA or cashier or welder, a diesel mechanic, an electrician, an HR representative, whatever. If you out here, we ain't none of Donald Trump's peers, and we're not in his group. He don't represent us, but for some damn reason we think we identify with this motherfucker because he done fucked a whole bunch of hoes. I know broke dudes who done fucked a whole bunch of hoes. So I don't really understand that at all. So let's take a look at how Tiffany Henyard got to be the supervisor of Thornton Township. And once again, a huge shout out to Messy Michonne, because Messy Michonne and Pink Book Lessons have been all over this issue with the people's mayor, the super mayor. They have been all over this woman, and they ain't giving her no breaks, no smoke. Let's not forget, Tiffany Henyard is the dream.
I understand why we can't help each other, why we can't put our heads together and help one another, why we can't band together at this time, at this moment. This is going to be Black History Month, right? Y'all all say Martin Luther King had a dream, but guess what? I am the dream. So now I need you guys to stand with me and help me grow our dream. That's what I need.
She is the dream. She is the dream. And Messy Michonne did a fantastic breakdown of how this chick became the supervisor over Thornton Township. Now, what makes Tiffany Henyard very fascinating isn't the fact that she's going around finessing her own neighbors and the people that she's supposed to be serving. It's the fact that this woman is the head of 2 governments in one area. She's a mayor of a township and she's a mayor of a village. This woman is holding 2. She's a double executive because Black folks are lazy, uninformed, and checked out. This live stream is way more than about Tiffany Henyard finessing Thornton Township, but this is more about how she was able to do it and how she continues to do it and how Black people let her do it. Thornton Township, I've said it last week, and this is where me and Messy kind of divide. I don't believe that they got a corrupt mayor problem or a corrupt supervisor problem. I think they have a lazy ass, uninformed, checked out Black people problem. And because Black people low key, we love a finessing, even if that finessing is being done to us. So how did Tiffany Henyard become the Thornton Township supervisor? Well,